In true horrible vlogger fashion, we thought that we would sit down and catch you guys up a little bit on this past week. After San Francisco, the work week kind of began. There were a few days in there I was feeling a little bit anxious, so we didn't pick up the camera. But we did go to quite a few beautiful places throughout the week that we have little clips here and there that we took. We just didn't continuously film anything throughout the week.
Yeah, living life on the road, we just get super busy, or sometimes we're just feeling a little bit burnout and we start to film something and we don't always finish it. But we've got some cool clips from a couple places that we definitely wanted to share with you guys.
So after San Francisco, we decided to take a detour and head over to Napa, wine country, USA. It's been a dream of mine to go there for a long time. We're both huge wine lovers, and growing up watching The Parent Trap had a little bit of influence over that too. We drove out there and found a pretty cheap campsite at the foothills of Napa Valley. One evening we explored around downtown Napa, which was really beautiful. Day, which was on Monday after John got out of work, we got to do a wine tasting, which was
only
incredible.
Because we rolled into town thinking we were just going to pop into a winery.
Much like everything kind of nowadays, because of COVID, they put a reservation system in place. So you can no longer just walk up to any winery. You have to make a reservation in advance. I didn't find that out until we were already there. And when we rolled in on Sunday, I thought we were going to one that day, and that did not happen. So we spent a few hours kind of figuring out if we were even gonna be able to go to one. I found one opening Monday evening at a winery, so we booked that. The one that we went to was called Péjus. I can never remember if it's Péjus or Péjus, but I think they said Péjus. But it's a small family owned and operated, so they haven't handed the business over yet, which I found really cool. A lot of the wineries there have turned a little bit commercial.
It was amazing. Best wine we've definitely ever had.
Sure.
The tasting thing was something that I don't want to say was in the budget. You know, it was more than we wanted to spend for an outing. But it's one of those things where it's like when in Rome. You know, if you're in Napa Valley and you have a chance and you like wine to go do a wine tasting at a winery, you have to, right?
It was definitely a splurge to go there, but
Worth
something
it.
that we felt was very worthwhile, especially if you like wine. If you don't, probably skip it. But we love wine, so. And if you are looking into going and doing a tasting, keep in mind that they are very, very expensive. For us, the one that we went to, it wasn't a tour, it was just a tasting. We got to taste 6 different wines.
You kind of get your own waiter, waitress,
he's not a tour
concierge.
Concierge, kind of. He'll come over to you, talk about the winery, talk about each different wine that he pours. And that lasted about an hour and a half. And then we were able to walk around, kind of give ourselves a tour of the grounds. And collectively, that costed
$98.
$98 with tax. Very pricey. A lot of people would think just to taste some wine. But again,
it's in Napa Valley.
It's Napa Valley.
I mean, come on, bucket list item, you know? Have wine in Napa.
And the winery that we were at, I felt like we were transported to France. Like, I felt like I was in France.
It was beautiful. Beautiful. I mean, a lot of the old buildings and the architecture and the landscaping, and they had this gigantic, beautiful stained glass on the inside of the winery.
It was beautiful.
I mean, everything was immaculate. warranted the cost for sure. And the quality of the wine. You know, you're not going to go to Napa Valley and have bad wine, you know, so it definitely lived up to the expectations, and it was definitely worth every penny. But there are some tastings that can be very pricey.
Yeah, there were a few that I looked into at some of their like big name wineries there, and some of them can get up to like 150, 200 per person to do a tasting, which
it's not in our budget right now.
No, and I think that's crazy. I mean, we wanted to get a bottle of wine from the winery that we toured, and the cheapest bottle they had was $45, which probably is pretty dang cheap for out there. But again, like,
not in our budget right now.
We're used to like our $10 bottles of wine, so we didn't pick any up.
We visited Mendocino, this little coastal town not too far from the Redwood State Parks, per the recommendation of our traveler friends. It was this amazing little town. It was very friendly to travelers, which not all cities and towns in California are, but there was this long strip in this town where people could park, and we saw Airstreams, we saw vans, we saw RVs. We actually spent a few days there, and it was fantastic. It was just this really cool, tight-knit little community of a town, and everything was very clean and nice and incredible views. We got some good drone footage we'll plug in here too. Town. Like, we almost said we could probably live there. He falls off.
Did you find where you're sleeping tonight?
Yeah, man, I could bed down in here. This is cool. It's huge. Okay, this is like MTV Cribs, but instead of MTV Cribs, it's a Mendocino Beach Hut House show on HGTV. So let me take you to my second.
On HGTV, but it's MTV Cribs.
Yeah, let me show you my second beach house, okay? This one, you kind of got to do like a little back scoot action into it. Oh shit! You gotta get low with it. And then bam, there you are. You're just chilling. That's all though. It's just a one-person sleeper.
You just gotta try to get out of your house without knocking over your house.
Yeah. This is where we store the dogs and the surfboards. You know, in case we have guests. Apparently, Mendocino is known for their sea archery. Look at this guy. You see this guy? That's wild, right?
His name's Paco. A lot of places in Cali are not too friendly or accepting of people traveling through. They make it really hard for you. When we rolled into that town, to see how inviting they were was refreshing. We spent one evening kind of walking around the town, popping in and out of little shops and restaurants and whatnot, and everybody we encountered was so friendly. Friendly.
Yeah, they were really nice.
They wanted to know like where we were coming from, how long we were staying. They gave us a lot of recommendations on like local food to try.
Yeah, a lot of the places in California, due to the large amount of nomads and homeless, they don't want you there. And so this town, you could tell that they're only used to getting the type of traffic of friendly travelers instead of people that are
not being respectful of the town.
Yep, exactly.
If you are traveling upward through Cali, like from San Fran to the Redwoods or whatnot, it's a great kind of halfway point in between those two.
You must stop in Mendocino, California.
From there, we left Mendocino and then kind of started making our way north. We drove through the Avenue of the Giants, if you've ever heard of that. It's like I think a 32-mile scenic drive parallel to the 101. That gives you kind of your first taste of the redwoods before you get to Redwood National Park. It has some of the oldest redwoods in the area. Like
a tunnel of trees just filled with redwoods, and you're just driving through. And it's something that you just veer off the highway, and then it's a road basically right along the 101, and then it pops you right back onto the highway. So there's no reason not to drive through there, essentially.
Right. And Avenue of the Giants is right by the giant drive-through tree that's super iconic. It's a big sequoia that's hollowed out, and you can drive your car right through that. So
we obviously couldn't fit, so that's not something that we stopped to do.
But yeah, unfortunately.
Stop through there in your Chevy Impala or your Honda Civic. This rest stop we stayed at last night felt like a redwood state park. It was crazy. We just walked to go to the facilities, and there was a path that went into the woods, and there was this fog rolling in through all these tall, beautiful redwoods. It was kind of insane.
And then here we are today.